So here's the thing about ALS, otherwise known as Lou Gehrig's disease, that I don't think gets covered enough. When you have ALS, your entire body degenerates on you. We all know that. You lose your ability to speak. You can't move any of your extremities. You actually lose control of your bowels. But here's what they don't tell you. It actually doesn't affect your brain. You are as sharp and as cognitive as you ever were. So you literally become a prisoner inside of your own body. There's a fascinating documentary called Gleason that you can watch wherever you watch your movies on demand. And it's about Steve Gleason, a former New Orleans Saint NFL football player who, after retirement, got diagnosed with ALS. And at the same time, found out that his wife was expecting a child. So he began documenting everything. So you begin to watch Steve fight ALS, and now he has a nonprofit charitable organization called Team Gleason. And we're asking you to consider visiting teamgleason.org and making a donation. The Gleason Initiative Foundation helps provide individuals with neuromuscular diseases or injuries with leading-edge technology, equipment, and services, and they're trying to create a global conversation about ALS to ultimately find solutions and an end to the disease. Please visit teamgleason.org and consider making a charitable donation. A new episode of the Felt Recoil podcast starts now.
This is Felt Recoil.
Welcome to Felt Recoil podcast. This is episode number 22. I feel like the music is really loud.
It's pretty hot.
Okay.
But it's just so good. Might as well let it ride.
I thought it was my headphones, but once I turned my headphones down, I couldn't hear myself at all. Welcome to the Felt Recoil podcast, and my name is Chris. Across from me
is Patrick.
There you go, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good to see you.
Did you miss me last week?
I missed you very much, but it was productive in the sense that we still met. I want to thank Brian the Rev Norris for being here. By the way, interestingly enough, let me not divert too far. Remind me that we have an actual show to get to if I get too lost in this. But it was interesting. I'm going to give you a little inside baseball knowledge here. So, Brian, forgive me. I don't want to betray any like behind the scenes conversations. But when Brian was here, he told me I will be going to train with James Yeager. And I was like, oh. Now, Brian, if there is a nicest guy in the world, I think his name's Bobby, and I used to work with him. I want to say that for the record. But Brian
I can attest to that.
Brian is fighting for that position. He's going to be the nicest guy in the world, and he's just such a humble guy. Brian will never cast a judgment on anyone, ever. So when he told me James Yeager, my face just did the whole, what, like that, you know? And he says, I know, no, stop. He's a really nice guy. And he told me some cool stories about James Yeager. I don't think this is betraying anything. Apparently, he did like a Skype interview with James Yeager. I say like Skype because it might have been Google Hangout or something, but it was one of those, let's get on the computer together and talk to each other and look at each other and all that. And so he did his interview that way, and he offhandedly was like, James, you have a very nice camera. What kind of camera are you using? And James said, well, it's this or that. And Brian said, well, it's so much nicer than mine, I'm going to have to look into that. And James said, no, I'm going to send you this one then. If you like it that much, you can have it. And Brian said, no, it's okay. And James was just like, no, man, you got it. Send it to him. So that's cool. Seems like a cool guy. But I do have to say that there was an interesting thing. If you go on YouTube and you look up Felt Recoil Show, you'll see we've kind of made a video poking a little bit at James Yeager, kind of poking a little fun here at the fact that just the guy has this bad habit of saying things that he has to correct later. Specifically, he once said that Instructor Zero wasn't an instructor, he was an entertainer, and then he had to apologize for it because Instructor Zero was like, actually, no, here's all the things I do, and I'm willing to talk to you face-to-face about it when I see you again. And it was very like a gentleman's disagreement. I don't think they hate each other or anything. But then recently, Yeager posted another video where he's like, every time I tell somebody, post your bio against mine, they never do it. But yes, they did once, and it was actually very publicly embarrassing for you. So that leads me to this. Brian did an interview with Yeager in which he brought up the infamous wheelchair incident, and Yeager's retort was, well, some people just, I guess, don't think handicapped people should train with guns. And if you go watch the video, God bless you, Brian, because you can read your face like a book. Brian's, well, I don't think that was the issue. I think that it's, he's trying to be really nice about it because, again, he's the nicest guy in the world. And I think this is why I don't get access to those people, is because I would so openly be like, right, no. That's actually, nobody has a gripe with people in wheelchairs using firearms. The gripe is the fact that you let everyone else get 15 feet ahead of them. Might I say, by the way, don't mean this to be demeaning to my wife at all, but I played the wheelchair video for my wife. And so I just want you to watch this. And you just tell me what you think. Now, full disclosure, I think I've said this before. My wife, one of our first dates, we went to a shooting range together, and she outshot me. She's a good shot.
No surprise there.
My wife is the only person in the household who has shot, killed, and skinned their own deer. Okay? Christopher Million, not that guy. That's not my not my bag of tricks, but she's done it. She's cool. And so I say that to say that my wife, who would know her way around a gun any day of the week, watched that video and was like, hey, whoa. She's not a gun professional. She's not trying to be. She does websites and all that kind of stuff. But even she was like, what are they doing? I said, exactly.
Pretty plain to see, though.
So for James to think everyone else is going to buy into this idea of, oh, yeah, the problem is he was in a wheelchair. No, that's not the problem. The problem is everyone else was 15 feet ahead of that guy. And then your guys were clumsily pushing him along on a gravel surface, so it's all over the place, and then he's still shooting. Man, I don't know. I'd have left immediately. Like, instructors talk about kicking people out of class, I'd have just left. I'd be like, hey, you can keep my money if you have to. I'm going to ask for it back. I'm probably going to fight for it back, but I'm not hanging out.
I sometimes wonder if James Yeager's online persona is just that. It's just a persona. But then
it could be.
How he's had so many of these like gaffes though that you kind of eventually you're past that, right?
How many times can you say you're just gonna start shooting people because there's a new president?
You really have to do it once before they come talk to you.
I will say this to Yeager's credit: the man wants you to approach him. If you're a fan or if you disagree, he wants to hear from you. He wants to talk to you. So he seems like a cool dude in person. I think. And this is kind of one of the topics we're going to talk about tonight. There is this tendency when the microphone turns on and there's a camera rolling especially, there's a little more bravado involved. Some people
and I think
turn that on.
I think his manifests itself and he needs to be right all the time.
Sure.
So if you know somebody like that has to be right all the time, it gets pretty annoying pretty quick. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of my thing.
Yeah, we do a show every week.
Yeah.
I don't know how to tell him.
Yeah.
Or were you talking to me?
Oh.
Interesting.
Wait a second.
Interesting. We're speaking to each other. Anyway. So it was fun to have Brian on, and then John Correa being on the week before. We kind of went to church 2 weeks in a row. That was a good time.
Amen.
And so thanks to those guys. And
peace be upon them.
Yeah. Trademark, by the way. Could we trademark peace be upon them and then sue Islam? That'd be a lot of fun. So, all right.
I know what I'm researching tonight.
That was a 5-minute aside. All right, let me say this as a reminder. By the way, feltrecoilshow.com is the home to find all the gear you hear us talk about. If a guest mentions some gear or a book or an album and you want to grab it, please go to feltrecoilshow.com. Click the gear picture you will see about, just scroll down real quick and then you'll see gear. Click that and then everything's linked there already to Amazon. We try and find you the best price and then we post it there on our website. Just click it, buy it. Full disclosure, you will be supporting the show. We get a small kickback. I think we get like 3%, 5%, something low like that for everything that is purchased through a click. But it's a nice way for you to support us, and we'll continue to do what we do, whether you support us or not, because we like being here. And also, we want to say a special hello to Adam. Was walking around today, and happened to run into Adam's wife, and she said, my husband listens and he enjoys what you do. And I said, he must be a very good looking and smart man, obviously. And then I looked him up on Facebook, and I couldn't have been more wrong. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. That's a lie. But Adam, thanks so much, man. We appreciate the love. It's always nice. I don't know. It's a weird thing because I feel like when I come in here and we do this, I feel like it goes nowhere. I don't mean that to be like, oh, nobody's listening, boo-hoo. I just feel like we do what we do. Does that make sense? Like
it does to me because I'm sitting here.
Right, we're gonna have this conversation anyway, but we're just recording it and then we put it out there. Okay, well, I hope somebody will listen to it. But so when you meet someone in person, which we have a couple of times now, where they go, "Hey, I'm listening. I like what you're doing." It's like, "Whoa, what? For real?" You know, it's this overwhelming sense of, "Wow, why do you not have anything else to do?" But
you must have a long commute.
Adam, really, seriously, thanks so much. Sorry for the joke. Hope at least you got a chuckle out of it. Okay, and then a correction, because I hate to be wrong. I said a couple of shows ago that the Daily Signal was a Ben Shapiro outfit. I'm wrong. The Daily Wire is Ben Shapiro's outfit, and the Daily Signal is a Heritage Foundation outfit. And if you're thinking, who cares? It's just a matter of
shame on you, sir,
making the record straight.
How could you have confused the two?
I don't know. You know, I want to be as accurate as I can be.
I'm gonna wait till you forget about this, and I'm gonna bring it up again just to make sure you still feel guilty about it.
All right. Okay, so let's get to it then. Unless you live under a rock or not in the United States, which I guess is possible, we're pretty big in Slovakia. Actually,
England's picking up some downloads.
There are some. If you go, you know, we've said before, we pay a company to tell us who downloads from where, and if you go look at it, it goes USA and Slovakia. So
what's in third?
That's a great question. So if you look at our geographical stats, all right. So we're going to kind of split hairs here. The United States is number one, and then other regions, so that's a combined total, is in second place. And then Slovakia would technically be number three, but I'm going to give it number two because it's the only like single country, right? So Slovakia, and then the United Kingdom, then Canada. Hopefully that's Americans living in Canada, or it's Canadians yearning to be free. And then South Africa, Ireland, Nigeria, Mexico, and Japan, rounding it out on page one. It goes on. I do get a little nervous because countries like, we get downloads from Singapore and, these kind of questionable countries where terrorism is thriving, Malaysia and the southern Philippines, as it were. I do wonder, like that new thing that's going around Facebook where a hot chick sends you a friend request and you post it and say, "Not today, ISIS," right? Yep. That's kind of how I feel about, now they're hearing our game plan.
The imams are like, get out there and learn your enemies.
That's right. Anyway, all right. So if you're from anywhere else and you're not aware, there was a search this week that's now over because unfortunately he got the chance to kill himself for a guy that went by the name Stevie Steve. Really don't want to focus on him too much. I do want to say our condolences go out to the family of Robert Goodwin Sr., or Godwin, pardon me. Robert Godwin Sr. was the man that this jackass shot. I thought it was on Facebook Live. According to the New York Times, maybe that's not the case. The police originally said that the shooter broadcast his murder on Facebook Live, but Facebook is saying, no way, man, he just posted a video, after he did it. I don't think that's true. But even if that's the case, let me give you here's what happened, and then we'll dive into it. This guy was on Facebook, and he walks up to this older gentleman, and he says, say this name. The old man says the name a couple of times, and then he says, you know her? And the guy goes, look, man, I don't know anybody. And at that point, it's evident that the murderer has a gun out, and he shoots the old man point blank range. The old man just slumps down, dies on the sidewalk. And then he goes back to his car, the shooter does, and starts to say, I've murdered dozens of people, and they're hidden in these different places all around town. He's from Cleveland, Ohio, and then he just ran away. Now, I want to repeat my wife's question because I felt like this was so genius. Here's the question, not mine, from my wife, but it's brilliant, so I'm going to repeat it. How is it that if I upload a video to Facebook, which I tried to do, by the way, a couple of weeks ago, you and I were shooting the Daniel Defense, and I made a little video on my phone on iMovie, and I had some music on my phone. I tried to upload it, and it wouldn't even upload it because it said there was a copyright infringement in the music I was using. Now, I thought it was like a classical piece of music. I can't remember the term, but there's a term where you can't get a copyright because everybody's used it, like, God Bless America or whatever. You can't really copyright your version of that. So that's what I thought I was using. Anyway, why is it can immediately deny me that, but it can't deny an upload of someone being murdered? If it's uploaded, it's worse for Facebook than had it been live. Facebook would have an excuse if it had been live. Well, how are we going to monitor that? Well, you kind of have an obligation to monitor that because you're giving people a platform. But how is that even possible?
Do you remember, and we may have talked about this on the show before, but do you remember when they announced they were going to have Facebook Live, that it was going to be a thing? Periscope was big, right?
Yeah, Periscope was.
And then Facebook did what Facebook does, and they steal other companies' ideas
what?
and turn it into their thing.
This was not the idea of two brothers on a rowing team that some dude stole. Why do you have to bring that up every time?
Right.
It was. He settled out of court. Had to have been.
So we had a conversation one day where the first thing that popped into my mind, and I pointed this out to you, was how long will it take before people are committing crimes like murders and rapes?
Oh, I do remember that. Yeah, you're right.
And using this and broadcasting it for nothing more than bragging rights.
Yeah. You said
gang initiations, things like that.
I think specifically you said, how long will it be until a group of black people abduct a white man and torture him because he's a Trump supporter? I think that's exactly what you said, because you're a raging racist. And then you said, and they'll do it on Facebook Live.
And I can see the future.
And then it happened. and also you said, and no one will talk about it, and which was true. Yeah, no, good point. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I mean, that's basically my point. Is just I called it. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean,
sorry, Nostradamus.
You're welcome.
Correct.
But I mean, I knew it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So do companies like Facebook now? And remember when Facebook Live first started, you had to be a celebrity. You had to be like a verified user to use it.
And I think the conversation we had was when they decided or announced that they were going to let everybody do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was sort of the catalyst for that conversation.
Yeah. Because I was really worried Michael Jackson was going to get a hold of it at the time, but luckily he died.
Yeah.
So we didn't have to witness any of that perversion.
Here's a serious question, though.
Yes.
Who actually needs Facebook Live?
I would say,
like, it seems like it was a product that was brought to market that nobody actually wanted or needed.
You're right. Well, okay, it actually hints at a topic that I think is very funny. My 4-year-old son would love to have Facebook Live. And here's the backstory. I did a deep cleaning of everything, organized. Well, you can't tell by looking at this office right now, but I went through the garage, I went through my bedroom, and just deep cleaned everything, pulling drawers out. We're trying to consolidate a lot of stuff, make space. And I found an old iPhone, and out of curiosity, I wondered if it would work. So I plugged it in and charged it, and lo and behold, it worked. And I thought, I wonder if just I could use it for Wi-Fi around the house. And sure enough, you can. So it's not attached to a carrier or anything. So we have 3 kids, obviously, and the electronics are a big deal to them. They can watch kids' YouTube and whatever they want to do and play their little games. And there's there's some educational apps available that you can download. So I downloaded a couple apps, put it on there. So I told our 4-year-old, you can use this phone, and but only around the only in the house, and you whatever. And then that way, when the younger one wants to watch cartoons on the iPad, then so be it. So there's not a fight here, right? So he has the old phone. He's running around taking these pictures. Well, unbeknownst to both of us at the time, that phone's actually tied to my iCloud. So I see all the pictures he takes. Here's the point I'm making. My 4-year-old loves the idea that he can point a camera at himself and take these pictures. And I made a comment to my wife that it's funny because around us he's very reserved. He doesn't get goofy around mom and dad. He just doesn't. Like sometimes he will, but not really. But he's alone and he's taking these pictures, like in the sense of he thinks he's alone. We're in the kitchen cooking whatever, and he's got the phone out and he's taking these selfies with his tongue sticking out everywhere, and he just thinks nobody else will ever see it. So it's very cute, very fun. The other side of that is he would love Facebook Live because He likes the idea of discovering himself. He's figuring himself out right now. The flip side of it is that I think that speaks towards the personality of the people who love using that kind of stuff. They're still, be they 30, 40, or 4, they're still kind of figuring themselves out. And they think everyone else wants to know everything about them there is to know. Like, it's very narcissistic in a way. Not if you're 4. I'm not saying that about my son. If you're 4, it's normal to be narcissistic because what else is there in the world? There's you and mom and dad and maybe a couple friends. But when you're 30 and 40, it's rather strange to feel like I have to have this. A bigger question, I think, is do these companies, Facebook and YouTube, specifically Periscope, don't they have an obligation to monitor what they're feeding to the public? Right? I mean, I think they do. I know they would say, well, that's impossible. You got 1 million people using us every 5 minutes. Well, not my problem. Not my problem. It's actually your problem. You have to figure out a way. Yeah. You have to figure out a way to make sure this doesn't happen. So they get to shrug and act like, yeah, not a big deal. So then this guy who shot the old man, who was literally in his 70s and just walking down the street, he got to kill himself, which I think is unfair. But another question I have is, why haven't I seen his dead body? I saw a video of an old man be murdered on a sidewalk. Why don't I get to see the video of this guy? Because that's what we do wrong. We allow the killer to post his video online, even though Facebook goes, oh, well, we took everything down once we realized it existed. Well, too late. It's already out there. You can still go find the video.
Oh, yeah, it's
not a problem. Go find the video. The police need to release photos and videos, if they have them, of them coming up on this dude's lifeless, limp body. Because it needs to be understood that if you play this game, that's the end result. We're not goofing around. You don't get to go shoot people and then be a hero. You die like the piece of filth that you are. I hate that he got to kill himself. I think the police should have armed up the old man's family and been like, come with us, and when we tell you to shoot, you shoot, and you shoot till it clicks. That thing needs to be empty. You just keep dumping mags. Oh, we're not sure. You might be moving. Here you go. They need to be like handing them new mags, and just let the family just mag dump on them. The family apparently, by the way, was too good at people for that game anyway. Like, they were apparently very forgiving and
very much so.
Went on TV and... Great, you're good people. Nice. It is.
So you're saying you think the media needs to go ahead and just paint the full picture?
Either that or just don't talk about him. Because as we discussed very recently, when the CDC and the FCC said, hey, we got a suicide epidemic, let's stop talking about suicides on television, suicides took a drastic fall. And suicide stopped being a thing people did, unless they were Aaron Hernandez and guilty of multiple murders. And well,
I mean,
not gonna ride this out. So
you got to lose one here or there,
right? If they would stop covering it, it would stop happening. If you would stop covering these guys who go out and murder people and are even lone wolf terrorists, if you want to use that term, if you'd stop giving them attention, it'd probably stop happening. 9/11 was a big deal because it was live to the world. It was live to the world. You can't take that back. It's a obviously breaking news event. It looks like a plane struck the Twin Towers. Oh, lo and behold, it was actually a terrorist attack, and now the terrorists got exactly what they wanted. They got a ton of attention. If we could ignore these people in general, I think we'd be better off for it. Maybe I'm wrong.
But it's worth a try.
Yeah, why not? All right. Let's talk about, since we're on the YouTube, Facebook thing, can we just clear the air on this YouTube demonetization? Now, Felt Recoil, we have felt the YouTube demonetization. It's hit us very close to home.
Right there in the pocketbook.
The proposed $5 we were going to get this month is down to $3, maybe $2.50. I can't even bear to look. We don't have a large YouTube presence.
I got about 2 swigs of this beer left. You want to share it with me?
All right, buddy.
We're going to have
to. It's all we can afford at this point. Thomas Creek, sponsor us. The problem is this that I have with this demonetization soap opera is that so many people, and I won't name names, but just imagine your favorite big gun YouTube channel, minus one that you informed me of, the Gun Collective, apparently made a similar point that I'm going to make. I just learned before we started recording.
Yeah, I think they put something out on YouTube last night.
They're not in a panic about it. There's two reasons to not be in a panic about it. Number one, it's a free market. And all this is a fluctuation in the market. This is the market fluctuating. It was found out that YouTube was allowing ads to run near some pretty crazy stuff. And we're talking ISIS propaganda videos, crazy stuff, legitimately. So a ton of advertisers said, we're not going to do business with you until you figure out a way to not let that happen. And so YouTube says, whoa, we don't have a lot of ads to spread around. Slow down on spreading the ads around, okay? Now your ads aren't worth as much because there's not as many to run, right? So as one of millions, literally, if not a billion YouTube creators that exist out there, we don't get as big of a piece of the pie as we used to, which was very, very small to begin with and maybe always will be, but who cares? But the point is, YouTube isn't targeting the gun community, and there's been a lot of big names in the gun community who, just like Black Rifle Coffee Company, exploited the Starbucks thing and twisted it to say, well, you should buy our coffee because we love veterans. And now everyone's going, well, you got to come give me money on Patreon because YouTube hates guns. It's just not true. It's absolutely 100% not true. YouTube is hitting everyone, from Casey Neistat to you name it.
The funny thing is that obviously the gun industry sort of jumped to that conclusion really quickly. And then I noticed within the same day that you had left-wing type political videos and right-wing political videos.
Right.
They were both saying the same thing. Well, now YouTube's just cutting all this because we're leftists. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, we're conservative, so YouTube's out to get us. And it was the funniest thing because, like, wait a second. Anybody with half a brain can sit here and realize that it seems as though everyone is being affected equally at the same time.
Yep.
So shut up.
Right.
Like, just shut up.
There's a great channel. If you don't follow Exploring with Steve, you should go find that guy and follow him. He's absolutely
This is the guy you were telling me about the other day that goes and finds, like, empty buildings and stuff?
Yes. Anything he can find to explore, he goes and videotapes himself exploring it. And he's just captivating the way it rolls out because, I mean, we drive by these buildings all the time, right? You drive by some old factory of some sort or some big empty mansion and you think, man, I'd love to just walk around inside of that. This guy's going to do it for you. He's going to get access. He's going to walk around. He's actually got a video.
All right, what's he called again?
Exploring with Steve. Is that right? Please don't tell me I'm wrong and didn't do my homework correctly. He's got a video on there. He's walking through. Look at this.
No, I got him. Yep.
Could YouTube shut down Demolition Ranch? That's a recommended video. As I just pulled up YouTube to look up Exploring with Steve. This is what's driving me crazy. First of all, I don't want to be too personal about the guy, but anybody that's videotaping their kids while they're asleep at night and using it on YouTube to make money, that's a little creepy to me.
What?
Yeah. We won't get too deep into it. Demolition Ranch, are you familiar with that YouTube channel? All right.
Oh, wait, this is the guy that just shoots, like, new iPhones and stuff? Is that the guy you're talking about?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
He's very long-winded. I don't know a lot about him. Seems like he's probably a really nice guy. He's a veterinarian. He's got 3 different YouTube channels. I used to subscribe to him, but then he literally walked into his kid's bedroom one night and took videos of them sleeping and included that in the video. And I was like, it's really, really stupid, by the way, because you've got hundreds of thousands of people watching this video. And if you've ever heard anything about the type of people that are looking for this type of stuff, that want to see your kids, what the bedroom looks like, what the interior of your house looks like, that is a really, really bad idea. Take that out of your videos. Stop doing that. And when he did it, it was creepy. It's a really bad idea, and I had to unsubscribe. I was like, that's just kind of like a bridge too far for me. Maybe that seems melodramatic to you. I have 3 kids of my own. You're not going to see them sleeping in bed at night on YouTube. It's not going to happen. That's really, really strange. I don't care what you say about it's a community. It's very strange. Don't do that. It's a really bad idea. The point is, that's his video. Is YouTube going to end Demolition Ranch? No, they're not. They're not. And if you've put all your eggs into this basket...
we hope so.
Yeah. For your kids' sake, we hope so. Anyway, stop with... And it's clickbait, is my point. It's clickbait, clickbait, clickbait. Did you find Exploring with Steve? We're right on with that guy?
Yeah, I just subbed him.
He's got a great video. He's walking through an old AK factory. There's crates of old AK sitting in there, and he's monitored by like these Russian handlers that he's with. He blurs them out entirely. You can't really see him. So they're watching what he does while he walks through. Some really good stuff. My point about him is even he said the demonetization, quote unquote, is just a fluctuation in the market, essentially. And he thinks in the next 3 to 4 months, it'll be back up again. He'll be back to normal. So if you're smart, you haven't, put all your eggs in that basket, but if you have, you've saved the money you've made. You at least have some sort of emergency fund to pay your rent, buy some food, keep creating content. And then if we had any sort of like realistic, income from YouTube, I would sit on content right now. I might if I was a once a week kind of guy, I would make my content really kind of bland and say, well, we're waiting this out and everything is going to catch up.
So we're going to do what we've been doing.
Yes.
Okay.
On our end, we're going to continue to do what we're doing. But my point is, if you're smart about it, you play the market and you wait until it ticks back up, and then you release the good content. Because otherwise, you're just putting stuff out that 100,000 people are going to watch, but you're not going to get paid on it. So to me, right now, you go, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to release some standard stuff and let you know we're really working on some fun content that's going to grab you. But we're gonna just sit on that for a little while. I mean, I wouldn't tell people that. I mean, I just did, I guess, but I wouldn't tell your audience that.
Well, cat's out of the bag, folks.
If you're doing it for a living, though, that's the way you play the game. But we're not.
Sometime around October, we'll put out another video.
Right, yeah. The next one's going to be about shoes. So if that doesn't interest you, you're not going to care. All right, anyway, just don't buy the hype on this YouTube hates guns thing. They don't. They've been, I think, good to the gun community because you can go out there and watch a review of every gun in the world you want, and you're not going to get kicked off YouTube for it. All right, here's a good one out of Chicago. This is so good because it's so do as I say, not as I do, right? Listen, I don't know if you've ever listened to this podcast before or not, so I'll just say this. The government hates you, okay? The government does not have your best interest in mind. The government literally hates you because you are a burden on the government, okay? It's just nature. It's nature. The government's not there to take care of you. The government is there to take things from you. That's what it does, okay? By its very existence.
But it doesn't exist without you.
If the government, right, exactly right. If the government was still perfect, it would solely exist to protect your rights. But we know, anybody, with a pebble of sense in their brain now realizes that's not the case. So out of Chicago, from guns.com, a Chicago area woman arrested last year for her role in illegally selling guns to prohibited buyers, some with gang affiliations, was sentenced to probation and community service last week. Simone Mouse, I guess, I don't know, maybe Moushe, Mousheh, the Mickey Mouse song popped in my head. That's why I paused. Mousheh. She's 23. She's from the Chicago suburb of Mount Prospect. She will now, get ready for this, she will have to complete 15 days of community service. Oh, man. And then be on probation for 12 months after pleading guilty to illegal transfer of firearms. As reported by the Daily Herald, she was arrested last September and charged with 4 felonies after an investigation by the Chicago Police Firearm Investigation Team concluded that she had bought handguns through the benefit of her state-issued firearms owner's identification card and then illegally resold them. Yay, that's cool. Over a 6-month period, she purchased 4 Glocks and put a $1,000 deposit on an FN-57 pistol. How do you put a $1,000 deposit on a $1,200 gun? I'm almost there, but I'm not quite there.
They're probably way more expensive in Chicago.
Good point. Police were only able to recover one of the guns. Jeez. 2 of the guns, okay. Yeah, 2 guns and a box of 5.7 ammo. She placed 3 semi-automatic firearms on the street.
She bought the 5.7 ammo, but not the gun?
She put a deposit on the gun and then bought some ammo. Buying that ammo, you're almost there anyway, man. Jeez Louise. Anyway, she placed, this comes from the Chicago police statement. They say, this lady placed 3 semi-automatic firearms on the street and was in possession of ammunition that is capable of piercing a bulletproof vest. Now, that is one thing people brag about 5'7". Don't worry. She's getting community service, a year of probation, and she will, quote, this is funny, quote, likely see permanent revocation of her FOID card, which is what's needed to possess a handgun in the state of Illinois. So, again, pleaded guilty to 4 felonies, and she gets a year probation and community service. So she can never legally buy a gun again because she's been convicted of a crime that could have given her a year in prison or more. But all these people who are in the crux of the community, by the way, that tells you we need stricter gun laws to save more lives, and you have a woman pleading guilty to 4 felonies, providing guns to people who are out there actually taking other people's lives, and they give her community service and a year probation. If you have a way with that knowledge to try and talk to me and convince me that the government cares about the safety of the individual, I would really, really welcome that conversation, but I don't think you can.
So what I was going to add to this is, if you look at the top of a 4473, which is obviously the form you're going to fill out if you're going to buy a gun, it actually says certain violations of the Gun Control Act, 18 U.S.C. 921, yada, 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 are punishable by up to 10 years imprisonment and or up to a $250,000 fine.
Per offense?
I assume per offense. I have not read that United States Code, so I couldn't tell you for sure. But I'm betting that if they really wanted to, they could push it and get you. They could ding you every time for that.
Unbelievable. But they don't. They don't.
They don't.
Do you know offhand the statistic of how many violations of the I'm saying it wrong. How many gun purchasing violations are prosecuted every year? That's my question. I know it's obsolete when it comes to comparison.
Yeah, I know it went down significantly once Holder was in there.
They don't prosecute anybody, and then we're expected to believe that more laws will prevent crime or save lives or make the world a better place because, hey, we got more laws. It's a prime example of only the good guys follow the law. And when the government will realize that laws don't stop bad guys from doing bad things, it really would be a lot easier on all of us. But unfortunately, for everyone involved in the situation, you're in this position where the government wants you to believe that if we pass more laws, you will be safer. And now we all know that's just absolutely not true because even when they do pass the laws, they don't enforce them. Here's a statistic to share with your friends. In 2016, how many people died by accident from a gun? How many? You ready? Do you know?
I don't know. Probably a lot more than intentional.
Less than 500. Less than 500. 489 accidental deaths by gun in the U.S. in 2016. Okay? How many people died accidentally by car in 2016? Take a guess?
20,000.
Ooh, double it and add 200.
Whoa.
40,200 accidental vehicular deaths in the U.S. Now, if they're worried about saving lives and passing laws that will save people's lives, why are we not worried about passing laws that are stricter on who can drive a car and who cannot? Why is there not a federal mandate on what it takes to get your driver's license? Why don't we have a federal driver's license? Why don't we have federal guidelines?
Give it time.
For how to drive a car. Right, give it time. I'll tell you what it is. They're not making the money. Right? If you got your driver's license from a car manufacturer, there would be federal regulations on it because they would find a way to make money on it, right? Oh, you're going to license people to drive? Then we're going to tax you. We're going to tax the person looking to drive, and we're going to make our money. Think of it this way. You don't have a right to drive your car. You don't have a right to have a driver's license. You don't. But you have a right to own a gun. And guns kill exponentially less people than cars do. Is that 1%? 500 versus 40,000? Isn't that 1%? Yes. right? So you're talking.
I think Mom's Demand Action would disagree with you.
Right. And then they're going to include but again, we're only talking by accident. Okay.
Right.
These are law-abiding people accidentally killing each other. Okay. So accidental deaths by car, 40,200. That's actually 60% higher than it was the year before. 6% higher than 2015. 2016, 489 accidental deaths by gun is the lowest since 1903. And we've got all these new laws, right, on guns, making it harder to buy guns, and they feel like that's going to make a difference in gun crime or people dying, and it doesn't.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
Yeah, well, it doesn't.
I did just find the prosecution rate.
Tell me, please.
So this is from the Free Beacon, and it basically says that the report shows that between 2008 and 2015, the FBI denied 556,496 gun purchases following background checks. During that time period, the report shows that only 254 false statements were even considered for prosecution.
All right.
So if we want to put that into a percent, care to guess?
So wait, the percentage of what? So wait. 254
How many people
were considered? How many people were actually prosecuted?
Of the denials, how many of those, what percentage of that?
Of 254 denials, what percent? Is that what you're asking me?
I'm asking you, how many were prosecuted out of the entire
Denies?
500,000
So
denies?
500,000 people were denied.
And only 254 of those were considered for prosecution.
Wow, I can't even do that math. Okay,
That's
wait,
'cause
500,000
it's such
people.
a small number, you can't.
Hold on, we can break this down. 500,000 people. Let's take away. So that would make 5,000 would be 1%. Jeez Louise, man. And then you're talking 1/10 of 1% is 500. You're talking 1/2 of 1/10 of 1% were even considered for prosecution. Okay, 1/2 of 1/10 of 1%. Holy cow! All right, so now out of that 1/2 of 1/10 of 1%, how many do I think were actually prosecuted? I'm gonna go with 5.
So they say 0.04 is the actual percentage of prosecution. Pretty insane.
That's like one person, right? So
Yeah, I guess.
1% of 254 would be 2.5 people.
I think at one point I did read that maybe it was 2015 or 2016, there was literally like 8 people that were prosecuted.
It would be one person, because 2.5 is 1% of 254, and then if you're telling me it's 0.5%, that's like one person.
It's the world we live in, buddy. This article does go on to say that the Justice Department found that the FBI's denials of gun purchases were quote, overwhelmingly appropriate with an accuracy of 99.8%.
Right.
That should make you sleep well at night.
It's unreal. It's unreal because, dude, I mean, it's unreal. I heard that maybe they thought they caught the guy that killed Brian Terry. Did you see that in the news?
No, I didn't see that.
And Brian Terry was the U.S. Border Patrol agent who was murdered by a gun that Barack Obama sold to Mexican gangs, who were coming up across the border and illegally buying guns. And gun shops, by the way, were telling the Obama administration, we don't want to sell these people. And the administration was saying, no, sell it to them, then we're going to watch where the guns go. They lost all the guns, and somebody used one to kill Brian Terry. And so we're pulling that kind of BS. And then we're not even prosecuting 1% of the people that are illegally buying guns or illegally attempting to buy guns. It's a felony to walk into a gun store and try and buy a gun if you're not allowed to, correct? If you're a convicted felon and you walk in and try and buy a gun, is that not an additional felony on your record?
It's supposed to be.
Supposed to be if you get convicted.
Those aren't prosecuted, though.
Unbelievable.
Happens more than you would like to think.
It's unbelievable.
Those people aren't supposed to be in the gun store to begin with. They're not supposed to be in the same room as a gun. more or less making an attempt to purchase one.
Like a pedophile in the school zone, right?
Yeah,
Pretty
basically.
much.
Yeah.
Unreal. All right, as we cool down and touch on a couple of last things, there was a story that came across, and forgive me if it's not news. Apparently, it might be a year old, but it's the first I've heard of it. We're going to touch on that about the HK rifle for the Army's new and improved sniper rifle. We'll get to that in just a minute. But first, we'll talk about the new FN 509. Did you look into this at all?
The what?
Right.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I did.
I love. If I'm 10 out of 10 excited for the Hudson H9, I'm 8.5 out of 10 excited for the FN 509. I don't even think I won't be able to keep all the vernacular straight because I'll be like, ooh, I want to get that Hudson 509. No, wait, it's the Hudson H9. Anyway, here's the specs. It's a 9mm. It's a double action, 17 round mag capacity. It's going to weigh just under 2 pounds unloaded. 4-inch barrel, overall length of about 7.5 inches, a 110 twist rate on that Cold Hammer forged barrel. I do believe they do even in their pistols. I'm looking. I believe that's right. Anyway, it's about 5.5 inches tall, inch and 1.3 inches wide, and it's got about a 5.5 pound trigger pull. If you're really geeky and sight radius matters to you, it's 5.79 inches. Here's the breakdown from FN. The 509 is built on the proven architecture of the FNS Compact. FN made changes internally and externally to meet the rigorous performance standards of the MHS requirements. What does that stand for, by the way?
Modular handgun.
Modular handgun what? What's the S? Any idea?
System.
System? Oh, okay. It always makes me think shake my head, like SMH. That's what I always see when I read it. Anyway, all right, FN made changes internally and externally to meet the rigorous performance standards of the MHS requirements. If you don't know, by the way, that's where the military is looking for a new sidearm. The SIG 320 won that, blah, blah, blah. It further developed the platform into the FN 509. Am I wrong? No? Okay.
That was dead on.
All right. They further developed the platform into the FN 509 with the help from industry experts. Oh, yeah? Did Cy Hudson tell you what to do? Okay. Over the course of development, the platform has been tested extensively for reliability, ammunition, compatibility, and durability, totaling more than 1 million rounds. The FN 509. It's available for commercial, law enforcement, and military with an MSRP of $649. Patrick, initial impressions?
I'm digging it.
Yeah.
I have an FNS9, and I like that gun a lot. I had heard a rumor about a year ago that they were going to be phasing that guy out and moving to something else. I had a feeling it had something to do with the modular handgun program, and that we would be seeing something, in the light of day. Apparently, this is not their submission for the modular handgun.
Oh, yeah?
This is an adaptation of what they learned from going through those trials.
Interesting. So we're looking at it here online, and there's quite a few things I like about it. Number one, I love. There's no finger grooves on the front. I hate to be that guy because it's so cliche to compare it to your Glock, but full disclosure, Glock 19 is my daily carry. And I've really been battling sending it off to somebody and having the frame kind of stippled and shaved down, if you will. I don't like the finger grooves anymore. I liked them when I first had it, but the more I work with it, the more I've learned to not like having those 3 finger grooves on the front. Well, they're gone on this. Then there's some texture right around where your thumb and your trigger finger are going to sit. So if you hold the pistol like in an isosceles stance and you're used to rolling that left hand for support, you're left or right hand. If your support hand is usually up on the frame of the gun with your thumb pointing forward, if you know what I'm talking about, this looks like there will be some texture there on either side to help support your support hand, as it were. Front and rear cocking serrations.
About the texture on the grip, one of the things I noticed that they were able to do with this gun is they managed to have, it looks like, a little bit different texture across the front strap and the back strap versus the sides, and then you just mentioned the texture where your thumb is going to rest, and they managed to do all of that without pointing out that it's a grip zone.
The texture on the front and back, by the way, since we're talking Glock comparisons, kind of if you have a Gen 4 Glock and you know how the side of your Glock feels, It's what the texture on the front and back somewhat resembles to me, is that kind of squared, I don't want to call it stippling, but it's a square texture, if you will. But I love it. I don't know if I would call it a definite replacement for the Glock 19, but man, if it fits in the hand, if it shoots anything like the FNS shoots, and it comes in that kind of package, that might be something worth considering. It also, I'd be curious to see if my XC01 will fit on it. If my light fits on it from Surefire, that would definitely be worth considering. You could sell your Glock 19 a couple $100 and offset the price at $650. That's kind of steep. I mean, you're getting a Gen 4 Glock with 3 mags at $560-ish, maybe $600. This one says it's going to ship with 2 interchangeable back straps and 2 17-round mags and a soft pistol case.
Keep in mind that's MSRP, so I expect that is going to be a little less once it actually hits the streets.
Probably on the shelf around $5.99. Then you think?
I want to point out one thing that you're not going to find on their website. It's very odd that I'm combing through it right now. I just want to make sure I'm not lying to you. But one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is, a lot of people are saying, well, it's just the same thing as the FNS 9. They just changed the slide. The slide profile is definitely different. I think I like it a lot better than the FNS 9. It's a little bit beefier. You got some nice serrations up front and in the back. They're a little bit wider serrations than the FNS. But the other thing that nobody seems to be pointing out for some strange reason, I even watched Larry Vickers do a review on this, and for some reason they just gloss right over it. He's standing there with a rep from FN, and they just don't talk about it. But one of the things I noticed was this newer version, the 509, actually has a dual recoil spring in it, similar to the Glock Gen 4s.
Yes.
Whereas the FNS series had a single sort of standard recoil spring. So that to me was one of the selling points for a Gen 4 Glock. Mm-hmm. So that seems like a natural progression in this gun. But for some reason, that's not being talked about. I don't see anything on their website about it. And that's a little odd. They mention a lot of times in these reviews that you're seeing out there that they've quote-unquote beefed up the internals.
Yeah.
I don't know what all that means other than
one extra spring.
This recoil spring. Yeah.
Tungsten guide rod, extra spring. It does have ambi slide locks, so that's nice. And I like everything about it. I'm spinning it around. I will say this. One thing that's really nice about it is the mag release. There's a thumb groove that seems to be kind of carved out right there naturally for the mag release, and then the mag release is about I'd say it's relative to, if you think of your standard round mag release on a handgun, right? Put 2 of those side by side and make them somewhat oval, almost like a little raindrop looking thing here. But I like that, man. That's gonna make for some easy mag changing, and I'm always excited when it looks like a fun new handgun will be on the market. I'm a handgun guy much more than I'm a rifle guy. And on a personal level, by the way, the one in the 360 diagram I'm looking at and spinning around here on the computer right now says FN Columbia, South Carolina. That's 100 miles down the road, so there's no way I don't buy that handgun. That thing is pretty slick. Pretty slick. Go to feltrecoilshow.com, and we'll give you a link there for all the details here, but I really, really, really like this gun. All right, maybe this is old. It looks like it's about a year old, but it started making the rounds on social media again, and it was new to me. So I'll remind you, if you already know, that HK has confirmed a new and improved sniper rifle for the Army. So if you think they dropped the ball with the SIG 320, I do. Heckler & Koch has now confirmed that the Army will pick up its semi-automatic sniper system, basically a variant of the G28. So they had their semi-automatic sniper system contract out there. And this HK, is there a name on this that I'm missing? Because I can't find one.
I think it was originally the G28.
Yes.
And I just saw it a second ago.
It's saying it's a variant of that. They're calling it the HK's statement says the HK CSAS, I guess you'd call it, which is Compact Semi-Automatic Sniper System rifle, is a substantial upgrade over the Army's current sniper rifles. In-your-face Knights armament, enhancing accuracy and reliability while providing for a handier, more compact arm. That's from HK's USA President Wayne Weber, W-E-B-E-R. The company did not respond to requests for more details regarding the new rifle and its specific variations from the G28. Specs on the company's website say the commercial version has a minimum length of 38 inches and weighs just under 13 pounds. Holy moly. That makes it about 2.5 inches shorter and 3 pounds lighter than the M110 from Knights Armament that the Army's been using. Knights Armament, by the way, released a statement that congratulated the winner of the contract, saying, the CSAS competition was driven by evolving requirements pioneered by Knights Armament products in use by today's warfighter. Government competition drives industry innovation, and industry's common goal is getting the best product to the warfighter as quickly as possible. A lot of backhanded compliments there, and that's from ArmyTimes.com. So that started floating around again. It's news to me. I don't know if it's news to you, Patty.
Here's a fun fact.
All right.
So the Army apparently bought 3,643 of these rifles for a total cost of $45.5 million. Since we've already done an exercise in math.
Wait a second. You sure? Because I thought it was 12. It's 12,000 per. Wow. Yeah, you're right. 3,643 rifles will be worth $45.5 million. Wow. All right.
$12,000 a rifle.
Holy moly, man.
I mean, I know HK stuff's pricey.
Must be nice. Must be.
But you can buy a 417 or what, the civilian version for about $3,000 or $3,500, right?
Yeah, something like that. Hey, when Obama was president and we were selling guns like crazy, I would tell people that came into the gun stores that the best thing you could do is invent a product and then have the government try and make it illegal. I might have been wrong. It seems like if you invent a product and sell it to the government, it might be much, much nicer. All right, that's it for Felt Recoil episode number 22. Hope you enjoyed it. And by the way, if you're thinking about being in Atlanta for the NRA annual meetings, we'd like to see you, so look for us. We'll be there. We'll be there Friday through Sunday. We're trying to get our hands on a lot of fun stuff and talk to as many cool people as we possibly can. And we're making plans for if Antifa shows up. That could be a really, really good time. I don't think they will, because it's legal for everyone there to be carrying guns. Can you imagine being the anti-fascist group that shows up to take on the NRA? Good luck to you. All right, we'll see you next week for more Felt Recoil Podcast.